Raikan tapini, mosara pusyon timi ayu say patikimpay. Ay mi pap, siyam, runua, timi mosandan kritikam, kwanrem, fet, lekan si pasa, singtong chaywat sana layan na kan rapchum, pusyom timi ayu nuy kasimbat pi, kundi arat natnam.
Hey, how are you? Hey, how are you? Aren't you glad for today? Aren't you glad for today? Today is a happy day, isn't it? Today is a happy day, isn't it? Break it down, yo. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone. And welcome to our new lesson. Magsisimula na tayo sa bagong lesson natin, which is all about minerals. We are going to discuss about your properties of minerals, the physical properties of minerals, and the characteristics of your minerals. Are you ready? Alright, without further ado, let's begin. The basic definition of your minerals, it is the building blocks of rocks. Without your minerals, hindi po mabubuo ang ating mga bato or mga different types of rocks natin. According to the geologists, minerals are any naturally occurring, inorganic solid that possesses an orderly crystalline structure and can be represented by a formula. From that definition class given by the geologists, makikita po natin ang 5 characteristics ng ating minerals. First, it is naturally occurring. When we say naturally occurring, minerals are formed by nature. Natural lang po ang pag-form ng inyong minerals. It is through a geologic process and it is non-synthetic, meaning hindi po gawa-gawa ng mga tao or man-made. Second, your minerals are inorganic. When we say inorganic, it is generally inorganic. No, hindi siya galing sa plant ninyo na namatay or sa mga feces or mga excreta ng inyong mga animals or human being. Your minerals are inorganic. For example, your ordinary table salt versus your sugar. The itsura po ng inyong salt, table salt, and your sugar ay almost the same. Pare-pareho lang yung itsura niya. But your sugar is an example of an organic product. Paano naging organic ang sugar, sir? Your sugar came from saan? Galing sa ating cane. So galing siya sa plant, then giprocess kaya nabuo ang ating sugar. So is it a mineral? No, kasi nga organic po ang sugar. Unlike your ordinary table salt, it is found in the soil. No, nakikita natin siya naturally doon sa soil. So it is considered as inorganic. Therefore, sa dalawa po, sa table salt or sugar, the inorganic there, or that can be considered as mineral, is your salt or your table salt. Next, your minerals are in solid substance. No, it is in solid substance. Wala pong in liquid form. So lahat po ng minerals natin ay solid in substance. But some geologists considered only one in liquid form, and that is your mercury. But not all geologists are convinced that mercury is an example of your minerals. Next one is that your minerals has an orderly crystalline structure. When we say it has an orderly crystalline structure, minerals are crystalline substances, which means their atoms are arranged in orderly and repetitive manner. So naka-arrange siya ng maayos. It can be pa-cube or pwede na naka-triangular as long as may proper and perfect na arrangement ang ating structure ng inyong minerals, the crystalline structure of your minerals. And then the last one, it can be represented by a chemical formula. So, lahat ng minerals po natin, may chemical formula po siya, may specific chemical formula. If it will be altered, then it will be no longer considered as minerals. Again, The characteristics of your minerals are the following. It is naturally occurring, it is generally inorganic, and it is in solid substance. It has orderly crystalline structure, and it is represented by a chemical formula. Now we are done with the characteristics of your minerals. Let us now proceed with the different properties of minerals. Geologists commonly use physical properties to identify minerals, such as the color, the streak, luster, crystal habit, the cleavage, fracture, and hardness of the minerals. The first physical properties of minerals that we are going to discuss is the color of your mineral. The color of your mineral, it is the most noticeable physical property of a mineral and is often the first thing that people consider when looking for a mineral as gemstone for jewelry. Mura lang gud kita mag-adtog dagat, diba mangita tag mga bato-bato sa dapig sa dagat, mas punito nato ang mas maatrakta sa color sa mga shells na makita nato. But using this as a sole basis for mineral identification, it is not enough because different minerals can have the same color. Nang it's just when kag mineral na color yellow, but marami pong yellow na minerals. No, maraming minerals na may color yellow. So it's not just one which is ang alam natin na sulfur, but there are other minerals that pwede rin maging yellow ang color niya. Why? Because the color is highly affected by impurities or light diffraction. That's why nag-iiba-iba din po ang color ng isang mineral minsan. Now, the color of your mineral can be classified into three. It can be idiochromatic, allochromatic, and your pseudochromatic. The first classification of color of your mineral is the idiochromatic. They are the self-colored minerals. The color of a mineral is constant, so hindi na po siya magbabago, and it depends on the elements that make up their chemical structure. These are the following examples of your idiochromatic minerals. First, the green one, your malachite. Next, the rhodochrosite, which is the color red. And the third one is your sulfur, which is its color is yellow. Always po ganyan ang color nila kasi nga po nabilang sila sa idiochromatic type or classification of color of your minerals. Again, when we say idiochromatic, constant po ang color nila. The next classification of your color is your allochromatic. The color is not a reliable diagnostic property when you say that your mineral belongs to the allochromatic. Why? Because it has small impurities that may grammatically alter their color. Because of these impurities, class, pwedeng mag-iba-iba ang itsura or color ng inyong minerals. Your allochromatic are often weakly colored or colorless in their pure state, which allows impurities to pervade them with color. Now, by contrast, your idiochromatic yung nauna kanina, minerals are strongly colored, kaya nga constant ang kanyang color. While your allochromatic naman is somewhat weakly colored or colorless na siya. That's why madali lang siya ma-alter because of its impurity. So, pwede mag-change ang kanyang color. The best example of your allochromatic is your quartz. Your quartz can be represented by different color. Pwede po siyang tawaging colorless, pwede rin pong milky, pwede po smoky, citrine, amethyst, and rose. As you observe, for those different types of your allochromatic, nakikita po natin na ang quartz po pwede maiba-ibang itsura niya. Kasi nga po, your quartz, an example of mineral na medyo weak po ang kanyang color or because of its impurity, madali lang po ma-alter ang kanyang color. The last classification of your color of your mineral is your pseudochromatic. These are the false-colored minerals, and their colors are due to light diffraction. Again, the colors are due to your light diffraction. Your bornite, labradorite, and opal are an example of your pseudochromatic minerals. Now we are done with the color. The next properties of your minerals that we are going to discuss is the streak. When you talk about streak, It is the color of the powdered form of a mineral. It is observed by rubbing the mineral across a strict plate. So, ang ginagawa po dito, yung mineral natin, inarub po natin or in-scratch natin siya across a strict plate. So, may lalabas doon ng mga powdered form ng inyong mineral. The color of the mineral is not always the same as a strict color. Possible po na kung dark ang color ng inyong mineral pag rub ninyo sa strict plate, iba po ang color na lalabas pagdating doon. For mineral identification class, this property is more reliable than the color of the mineral since strict is always the same. So yung result ng strict natin ng isang certain mineral, it is the same, always the same. So constant siya. So therefore, in terms of mineral identification, again, this property is more reliable. Your strict is more reliable than the color of the mineral. Kasi nga kanina, di ba, may classifications of color tayo. So, pwede mag-iba ang color ng isang mineral. But in your strict, again, constant po ang color na nakikita natin sa powdered form ng inyong mineral when it is scratched in your strict plate. These are the different examples of your minerals na ginamitan po natin na strict plate, wherein girab natin siya sa strict plate para ma-identify ano ang color ng kanyang powdered form. Example, your sulfur, as you can see, medyo yellowish siya, consistent po. Your calcanthite naman po, the color is color blue ng inyong mineral, but pag ginamitan po ng strict plate, pag nirub siya sa strict plate, iba naman ang color niya. Lalo na po sa azurite natin. You're expecting the medyo dark color dapat ang kanyang powdered form. But look at the powdered form of your azurite pagdating sa strict plate. It's light in color. And your sphalerite. Ayan. So again, class, huwag kalimutan that for mineral identification, this property, your strict, is more reliable than the color of the mineral since your strict is always the same or constant. The next property of minerals that we're going to discuss is your luster. Your luster, it is the appearance of a mineral surface and is dependent on how it reflects light. There are different types of luster. It can be pearly, silky, dull, resinus, earthy, adamantine, vitreous or glassy, and metallic. So magdedepende po. So again, pagdating sa luster, ang appearance po ng ating mineral, the surface of your mineral, the appearance of the surface of your mineral po ang tinitingnan natin. The first type of luster that we're going to discuss is your pearly. When you say pearly, minerals appear the same as a pearl or the avalanche shell's interior. So as you can see, ang example natin dyan is your talc. Look at the itsura ng yung talc, the appearance of the surface of your talc. It's same as with your pearl. The next type of your luster is your silky. It shows similar properties with silk. From the name pa lang niya na silky, so ang kanyang itsura is parang silk, which is fine parallel threads. Example po natin dyan is your chrysotil. Class, can you search your chrysotil in your Google? Kasi nga po ang image natin is not that clear, but obvious naman po nakikita natin na may mga parallel threads po siya na nakikita. The next type is your dull. A mineral has a plain-looking sheen. So, para siyang uga kahit tanawon, dry siya tingnan. It's like para sinasabi natin, kanina puro dull moment. Kasi dull moment ba boring, uga kayo, dry kaayo ang moment kaganina. So, inanap po rin itsura sa inyong mineral. For example, your microcline feldspar. Look at the image of your microcline feldspar. Medyo dry siya talaga tingnan, di ba? So, this is an example of your dull type of luster. The next is your resinus. Its characteristics are the same with the resin or chewing gum. So look at the itsura of your sulfur as our example for this resinus. Di ba mukha siya bubble gum? When you say resin class, ito yung parang itsura niya is parang yung duga sa ato ang mga punuan, kaya nagatulo. Like for example, your langka or your rubber, pag imo siya i-cut ang iyang trunk, di ba, ni maggawas na ka ng mga white na fluid. Tapos pag mag-dry siya, it's color brown na ang itsura niya na parang bubblegum na nagpilit. Ayan, itsura. So, yan po ang itsura po or the appearance of your resinus. The next one is your earthy. When we say earthy, minerals are opaque and looks like earth or dirt. Ayan po. Ang example natin dyan is your azurite. Yun nga lang color niya is pero blue. Pero ang itsura niya talaga, ang appearance niya is para lang siyang dirt or lupa. Ayan, nung lapok nga nagtibugol, murag inanang yung itsura. That's why it's earthy. The next one is your adamantine. When you say adamantine, the minerals are very shiny and brilliant. So obviously, ang example natin dito na mineral is your diamonds. Shine bright like a diamond. The next type of luster is your vitreous, or also known as your glassy. Your vitreous luster occurs if it has the same sheen as a glass. So para daw glass ang itsura niya. As you can see, in your example, your diaptase naman, totoo naman talaga na parang glass po ang forma ng inyong mineral. The last type of your luster is your metallic. From the name itself, nagmukha siyang metal. A mineral has the same appearance as a polished metal. Nga lang, polished metal siya. Medyo shiny-shiny siya gamay. So, ang example po natin dyan is your pyrite. The next properties of your minerals is your crystal habit. When we say crystal habit, it is the characteristic shape in which a mineral grows and its projection of the mineral's crystal structure. So, titingnan po natin ang forma ng crystal structure nito, kung paano ba na-forma ang crystals niya. Some common habits or crystal habits are acicular, it can be blocky, tubular, fibrous, bladed, dendritic, and prismatic. So, ito yung mga common habits po ng inyong crystal of your mineral. So, here is the first batch of your common crystal habit. Your acicular, blocky, tubular, fibrous. From the name itself, class, ma-identify na natin agad kung anong itsura ng inyong mineral. First is your acicular. Your acicular is needle-like. Its size is wider than fibrous but thinner than your prismatic. Look at the image, the first image from the left. It is needle-like, tama ba? Parang may mga needles lang na nakatusok no, sa mineral natin. Yan po ang forma ng kanyang crystals niya. So that's an example of your mineral na tinatawag nating naturalite. Okay? Your naturalite, ito yung example ng ating acicular. Next is your blocky. Its shape is rectangular, so parang blocks. But the sides are not necessarily na flat. Pwede din pa-curve siya, pero ang forma niya talaga is more on rectangular ang shape niya. That's why it's called blocky. Our example there, the second photo from the left, is your oligoclase as an example of your blocky. The third one is your tabular. So from the name itself, tabular, tablet-like. Ayan, parang tablet na itsura niya. It has flat squares. Ang example po natin dyan is your barite, the third photo from the left. And then the last photo, as you can see, parang may fur ng inyong animals or yung ng dog or pusa. So it's fibrous. We call it as your fibrous. So meron siyang furry-like. Its sides are thinner than your acicular. Although same silang itsura, na parang may mga needle-like, pero yung acicular is mas malaki compared to your fibrous, kaya nga furry-like siya. Medyo mapino po ang kanyang texture or the forma ng crystals ng inyong mineral. The last batch of your common crystal habit are the following: your bladed, dendritic, and your prismatic. The first image that you can see sa baba po is from the left, is an example of your bladed. Its shape is like a knife. So, ito po yung tinatawag nating actinolite. Your actinolite. And then, your dendritic naman, example natin na plant-like. Tingnan nyo, you can see parang bonsai lang siya na plant. So, ang example po natin dyan is your copper. Your mineral copper is an example of your dendritic. No? Ang forma ng kayong crystal habit is parang tree or plant, no? Na nagforma-forma siya, nagdikit-dikit. Then the last one is your prismatic. The formation of your crystals is pencil-like. Its slides are thicker than your acicular. And so, mas makapal siya konti sa inyong acicular. Again, pencil-like po ang itsura ng prismatic. Example of your prismatic is your indicolite. Ayan, we call that one as your indicolite, yung the third photo from the left or the rightmost part na photo. The next property of minerals that we're going to discuss is your cleavage. Dito na po papasok kung bakit may mga pa-rated SPG si Sir sa simula kanina sa start ng ating lesson. So, may pa-SPG tayo dito sa cleavage. Your cleavage is the tendency of some minerals to break along flat surfaces. These surfaces have the weakest atomic bonding. Which means, kung mugamit tag martilyo gatong dukdukon na tong mineral, it will always break along this point. So, mura siya kang sa inyo pang mga snacks na siya tear here na part na dito lang siya mo follow pag gising ninyo sa inyong plastic, no? Sa inyong mga junk foods. Sa inyong minerals naman, ito yung cleavage. Pero kasi po, in this area, the atomic structure niya is hindi masyadong strong. Hindi nagkadikit-dikit ang mga atoms natin. Walang connection po ang mga atoms na on that mineral, on that part of your mineral. That is why, pag imo siyang bukbukon ng martilyo or maipit or maapakan lang natin, that mineral po will break on that line or on sa inaanang area. Again, when we define the cleavage in your dictionary, when we say cleavage, this is a sharp division or a split. Diba? Mura siya line. No? The splitting of rocks or crystals in a preferred plane or direction. Kasi nga, nagkakaroon ng preferred plane or direction ang inyong rock. Kasi nga, on that area, hindi po nakadikit-dikit na maayos ang inyong atoms. So, there's no such atomic bonding na nangyayari. The structure is very weak. So, again, when you say cleavage, kasi nga, di ba may split? Di ba, girls, when you wear your dress na medyo mababa po yung neckline niya, nakikita natin yung tinatawag natin cleavage. Kasi nga sinasabi na may cleavage kasi doon sa breast niyo may split sa gitna. Ayan, di ba? Ma-imagine niyo po. Ayan, so ganyan din po mangyayari sa minerals natin. Because of that cleavage, mas madali siya ma-break ang mineral and then doon siya mag-follow pag-break niya. Again nga, kasi nga po, walang atomic bonding na nangyayari on that certain area. These are the types of your cleavage plane. Your basal, prismatic, non-prismatic, your cubic, rhombohedral, and octahedral, and your dodecahedral. Now, as you can see, your basal is an example of your cleavage na isa lang po ang cleavage ng inyong ng inyong mineral. Example nito is your biotite and your muscovite. Ayan. So, makikita nyo on the leftmost part of your screen, may one plane of cleavage. So, balik, yung may line dyan na nakikita nyo na parang may straight or plate sa gitna na naghiwa sa inyong example na image, class. In that area, wala masyadong atomic bonding. That is why pag inyo na natamakan, or gibukbok ninyo na siya og martilyo or anything na hard, makrack siya on that area. Next, your prismatic and non-prismatic. Your prismatic and non-prismatic, may dalawang cleavage siya. Ang difference lang po, sa prismatic, the cleavage niya forming right angles. So, may makikita ka na 90 degrees po or right angle. And then, your non-prismatic naman is dalawang cleavage but it has no right angle. So, these two cleavages po pwede mag-occur any side of your mineral. The next one is your cubic. When you say cubic naman, class, it has 3 cleavages. That is why 3 cleavages with right angle. That is why ang itsura ng inyong mineral pag inuwa na siyang heat-crack or gibukbok ninyo, naka-form siya og cube. Ayan. So, may 3 surfaces siya or 3 faces siya. While your rhombohedral naman is same with your cubic, pero yun nga lang ang kanyang cleavage, dili siya nag-require nga kailangan jud naka-right angle po ang forma. So, it has no right angle pagdating sa rhombohedral. Your octahedral has 4 cleavages. That's why kaya niya maka-form ng 8 faces. While your dodecahedral naman po, it has 6 cleavages. That's why kaya niya magkaroon or makaproduce ng 12 faces or 12 surface or flat surface of your mineral. Ayan. Okay? Nakuha? Now, an example of your cleavage, no, may weak na bonding. Example natin dito is your pencil. Yung nasa gitna ng pencil natin, yung color gray, we always call that one as your lead. But actually, it's not your lead. Ang tawag natin doon is your graphite. Your graphite is made up of carbon. Ay, murag diamond, sir. Opo, your diamond is also made up of carbon. But what's the difference between the two? Your graphite po, class, the atomic bonding of your graphite is very weak. Halos wala sila nagunitanay. Mura lang sila nag-line formation. Pero wala naka-arms forward. Unlike with your diamond, carbon pa rin po siya, but your carbons, dili lang kayo naka-line siya, but they are connected with each other. Na naka-arms forward, naka-sideward. So, mas insaon mo siya isbog-isbog, dili sila basta-basta ma-disperse or mabungkag, naka-connect sila together compared to your graphite. So, ayan po. Again, the atomic bonding of your mineral, malaki po ang factor niya kung paano siya mag-form ng cleavage planes. The next property of your minerals is your fracture. When we say fracture, it is the pattern in which the mineral breaks aside from its planes of cleavage. So aside from those area na wala masyadong atomic bond, so therefore we're referring to the other sides po or the outer part ng inyong mineral. So ito yung mga part na madali lang po na ma-break. So unlike your cleavage, fracture does not break along planes. It just break unevenly. So muna magka-crack siya gamay, muna makaingon dito. But the name itself pa lang na ginamention niya, fracture. So it causes fracture. For example, ang inyong chair na dasmagad o bakal, what happens sa inyong chair na kahoy, pwede siya mapahakan, di ba? Or malangkatan gamay. So it creates a fracture. So inana po sa inyong mineral. These are your different types of fracture. Your conchoidal, jagged, splintery, and uneven. When you say conchoidal, the fracture looks like a semicircular shell. So pa-circular forma ang kanyang fracture. No, so dili siya inana ka hait ang dating niya. Your jagged naman is your fracture appears as jagged points. It has sharp and rough surface. So say unlike with your conchoidal na pa semicircular siya, so dili siya sharpy tsura, but well your jagged naman po is parang may mga sharp area siya or may rough na area siya. Okay? Next, your splintery naman is splintery fibrous like structure. Are you familiar with the term splints? When you do your mag-rescue kayo, pag may na fracture na buto, we put splints. Yung splints natin, ito yung parang flat bar na ginagamit natin para ma-immobilize, para dili na siya malihok, at the same time ma-stabilize po ang inyuhang bone para di na siya ma-further injured. So splintery. So itsura po ng inyong splintery type of fracture is painana po siya, medyo pahaba na flat. Then your uneven naman, this is your rough and irregular fracture. And this is common in most of your minerals, the uneven type of fracture. The last property of minerals that we are going to discuss is the hardness. Kung gaano katigas ang inyong minerals. The hardness of your minerals. It is the resistance of the minerals to scratching. It is measured by scratching the mineral with another object of known hardness. Now, when we scratch this mineral to another hard object, dito na to makita ang level of hardness ng inyong mineral. Now, for more accurate measurement, we use Mohs scale of hardness. So, yung Mohs scale, M-O-H-S, then scale. Your Mohs scale hardness is used, which is composed of 10 minerals. May 10 minerals po na ginamit as basis po ng ating Mohs scale. Numbered from 1 to 10, 1 as the softest and 10 as the hardest. This is the Mohs scale of hardness. It is relative scale and not qualitative. Again, it is a relative scale, not qualitative. It doesn't mean na pag sinabi mong number 2 na level, gypsum, is that pag your gypsum is twice the hardness or the twice the hardness of your talc, dili siya in ana class. Dili pasabot namin kag calcite, ang kagahion sa calcite is mura kag nag-combine og gypsum plus talc. No, dili siya in ana class ha. So it is a relative scale and not qualitative. Now as you can see, your talc is an example of your softest, no? Sa ating Mohs scale na ginamit po ni Mohs is that ginamitan niya po ng 10 mineral, talc as the softest, and your diamond, as we all know, as the hardest type of mineral. Now, your Mohs scale was named after its proponent na si Friedrich Mohs. Ayan. So again, class ha, it is a relative scale, not qualitative, which means that your gypsum, which is your hardness number 2, is not twice as hard as your talc. So only the gypsum is harder than talc. Ana lang siya ha. So dili na siya pasabot na gidoble nimo ang level ni talc mo na nabutang siya sa gypsum. Ayan. Dili siya inana. Like for example, yung ang feldspar sir kay 6 man. So therefore sir, pwede siya i-combine tulo ka klase nga gypsum niya kagahian ana. No, dili siya inana. Okay? May na magklaro ta. Okay? Your softer, harder and the hardest level of your mineral. Now again, class, we already discussed the properties of your minerals. These are your color, streak, luster, crystal habit, the cleavage, structure, and the hardness of your mineral. We are done with our lecture about your minerals, and I think we are ready for our next topic, which is your rocks. Ayan, kasi nga, before tayo mag-rocks, mag-minerals muna tayo. Kasi nga sabi natin kanina, your minerals is your building blocks of rocks. Without your minerals, hindi po nabubuo ang rocks natin. Without the crystals from your minerals, hindi po natin makikita yung sinasabing crystal or component ng inyong mga rocks. Alright? So see you next week for our next topic. Thank you!